The Republicans on the Hill considering ways to keep President Obama from taking executive action on immigration. One of the options involves an approaching deadline over funding the government. Senator John Thune, Republicans, saying that they're not ruling anything out on this. Listen.
You don't think that Republicans should take the bait, if you will, and do anything to shut down the government?
Well, it doesn't solve the problem, Chris, but look, we're having those discussions. We were only in for a couple of days this last week. We're going to continue to meet about this. I know the House leaders are talking about it, the Senate leaders are talking about it, but the fact of the matter is the president would be well served not to go down this path because he is putting at risk and in peril a real opportunity here to do some things for the country.
Well, Republican Senator Rob Portman, a member of the Finance and Homeland Security Committee, is with me here in New York. How are you, Senator? Good morning to you.
Thanks for having me on again.
What do you expect the president to do?
I hope he won't do it. I mean, it's crazy. Here we've had this historic election. The American people have spoken. They've said, among other things, they would like for us to work together and get stuff done. It was also really a repudiation of a lot of the Obama proposals because his approval rating was so low in these states where Republicans won. So let's work together and get this thing done.
But what is your sense? Do you think it's a threat or do you think it's for real?
You know, I don't know. And by the way, it's not going around Congress. It's going around the American people. I mean, the people have spoken. So I suppose he's responding to folks in his base who are saying, you know, you've got to go ahead and take this unilateral action. We believe it's illegal. We believe it'll be overturned at some point. We believe a lawsuit will be filed. And we just think it's a terrible way to start off what is supposed to be this fresh start where we have an opportunity with a Republican majority and a president of the other party to do what, you know, Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich did and Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill and get some stuff done.
Wow, so you sense a legal fight if this goes forward?
Well, I think there will be, Bill. I don't know if it'll be resolved during his administration. That's the problem with these lawsuits. But it's illegal because he would be saying that the statute says you've got to enforce the law, and I'm going to go around it. So this is an opportunity for us to kind of disarm and say, okay, let's work together. Both parties believe that the immigration system is broken. We have, you know, different approaches to it, but there's some common ground here. Mm-hmm. We've got to do more on the enforcement side. We've got to deal with the people who are here. We've got to help these dream kids. We've got to deal with the high-tech visas and people that have the skills we want in this country. So there's some common ground here. Let's try to work together and get this done.
There's plenty to do. Mitch McConnell said the morning after the election that he's not interested in shutting down the government. And John Thune was asked about it. He said, you know, all options right now are on the table. I guess the question comes back to somebody like you, is that what can and will Republicans do now with the majority?
Well, I'm excited about the majority. I mean, the reason this is so important for the country is not about Republicans or Democrats. It's about starting to address some of these problems. Clearly, immigration would be one of them. Again, both sides feel it's a broken system. A little different views on how to approach it, but we ought to deal with it. But let's get this economy moving. I mean, this is a great opportunity we've got. And that does include Keystone XL pipeline and other ways to use our energy that we have here in this country more efficiently. And that would create a lot of jobs. You know, Keystone would be the biggest infrastructure project in America probably next year. But second, on taxes, these companies are going overseas, taking jobs and investment with them. Let's reform the doggone tax code. Everybody says the rate is too high, highest rate in all the developed countries. Let's lower that rate and bring those jobs back here. Let's deal with the regulations. Most people believe that regulations have gotten out of hand. Let's come up with some common sense solutions. Some of these are very bipartisan to deal with that. And exports. I mean, we're very concerned about the fact that middle-class wages have been stagnant, even going down, even in the last few years. Export jobs, higher wages, higher benefits. Let's get these exports going. The president says he wants to do that. Republicans in Congress want to do it. So there's some things we can do, Bill, to give the economy a shot in the arm.
Come back to this funding idea. Do you support that shutdown, or I mean, where are you on that?
Here's the situation. The funding ends on December 11th. And if the president acts before December 11th, I think there will be a lot of Republicans who will be frustrated with him and say, okay, we're not going to provide funding for him to execute this executive order. That's not shutting down government. And I think that gets confused sometimes. But there is a possibility of saying, okay, for these certain parts of government that enable the president to execute what we believe is an illegal executive order that goes around the American people, there might be a way to narrowly design that. But it's not about shutting down government. No one wants to shut down government. Government, I think, will continue to stay open through the fiscal year. But let's also get a budget done next year and actually have the appropriations bills you would normally have. That's been blocked over the last 4 or 5 years. So we've got to do the things that the American people sent us to do.
December 11th is 3 or 4 weeks away, so we're going to watch that calendar. Keystone, will it pass this week in the Senate?
It's real close. I don't know. You know, it's 58, 59 votes, but it's been there before. We've never had a freestanding vote on just Keystone, except one that was non-binding that was in the budget. So this will be new. It did pass the House already, you know, so if it passes the Senate with 60 votes, the question is, will the president sign it or not? My own view, Bill, is that eventually we are going to be successful here, because when we have the Republican majority, we will not only have 60 votes, we'll have mid-60s, which gets very close to overriding a presidential veto.
Do you
if there is
think
one.
in the Senate now this new composition is veto-proof on Keystone?
On certain issues, I think it will be, and I think Keystone is one, because I think people realize it's great for jobs, it lowers the cost of energy, it lets North America be energy independent much more quickly, and finally, it's safer. According to the State Department's own studies, these oil sands are going to be used somewhere. They ought to be taken to our refineries here. And finally, it helps us here in this country, too, with the Bakken in North Dakota, to be able to our oil down more safely. And more
It's an unbelievable energy revolution.
It
You
makes
see it all over the
sense
country.
not to do it.
Senator, thank you for going through all that,
Thanks,
okay?
Billy.
Welcome
Good to
back
be
to
with
New
you
York.
again.
You
All
bet.
right, take
Rob
care.
Portman from Ohio. Thanks.